Hello everyone. This is the presentation of the assessment 2 for the course Internet Application Development, and this is Mohammed Hassanin. I do it as part of my application with the university. Basically, now I am a lecturer in the University of Canberra. I did teach this semester and the semester before, so I have fair experience in the teaching and lecturing. The assessment, as was advised in the email, for one of the three programs, I chose on the internet application because it can show the collaborative work and the individual basis for all the students. Here, the project details. It's the course internet application. The weight of it, as was mentioned in the email, 50% of the unit grade. The team size, I chose to be 3 to 4 students per group, and the submission has to be under the policy of the uni. It's if it is LMS or Moodle or whatever. And I choose the day, and definitely this can follow the policy of the uni as well. But as I assumed it to be by end of week 10. Any late submission will be a subject for a penalty and deduction 10% of the total grade. And after the 24 hours, it will be under the policy of the university. The feedback will be given as part of teaching the students whether their mistakes and how to fix it and so on. The aspects that was shared in the email, firstly, incorporating industry tools, and then secondly, evaluating the students in individual basis and when they work together in a group basis. Academic integrity, and the last is a consistent high quality marking and feedback. We're gonna go on the slides, and when I need to refer to one of these aspects, I will say aspect 1 or aspect 2 or 3 or 4 to make sure that the 4 of them being covered in my design of the assessment. Here, the learning outcomes, I tried my best to reflect the learning outcomes as the description of the course in the university is saying. And there are 5 learning outcomes. First one is identifying the main features and services of internet application. Second is create, deploy internet application server, and describe, construct, validate structured data for web services. And next is utilize enterprise level database connections and build small internet applications using open source technologies. As I said about the aspects, I'm gonna refer to the learning outcomes in the rest of the presentation by learning LO1, which is learning outcome 1 or 2 or 3. We have 5 here, so we're gonna use learning outcome from 1 to 5. And if I need to reflect on something, we're gonna come back to speak about it. The case study that was used, it's we wanted something to be beneficial so the students understand, to reflect on the application side and to see, yes, it makes sense, and if we use the internet application in this problem, it will help, and this will help them as well how to reflect and how to think about a new idea that makes sense on the community or in the application side. It's Caps Online, the taxi company that is known, and let's we assume that they don't have a website and they need someone to help them to build a website for booking. And if they hire 10 employees or 20 employees on different cities, and each one of them receives a call to book a lift for a person, so we're gonna use a web page, only single web page, and this single web page will provide for the clients to book it online. The main features inside the web page will be listing all the bookings, the previous ones, create a new booking, and this definitely will take details of passenger name and his place and the vehicle type he requires. And then next, update bookings if he wants to reschedule or reassign a driver or change the vehicle type, any of the features that was booked in, he can update this booking. And the last is delete. Delete means cancel the booking. This is what we call in the internet application CRUD operations, and we're using PHP page, PHP as a technology to build a web page, and no JavaScript or we can use the minimal of it. We don't want to make it very big for the students so they get frustrated. And then it will display the structure that we're gonna use it. It's a table of bookings, and we're using MySQL, and the application server is XAMPP. HTML5 by default we're gonna be used. So reflecting on this case study on the learning outcomes, definitely from the learning outcomes, he has to go for identifying the main features of internet applications, and he has to create a web server. Otherwise, he cannot deploy anything, and no table will come, no web page will come up to him unless he use all of these features. And validating the data structure. The table here is our data structure. We imagine that the table is coming in not a responsive way, so he need to show it in a way that is giving all the details in a very concise. So he has to use the data structure and make it appear in the best form. The enterprise level database connection, it has to be there. Otherwise, he will be all the time displaying static data. To get the data from the database, he has to use the connection of enterprise level database, and this by MySQL and PHP. And then building a small internet application using open source technologies, all of them open source technologies. So in this case study, I choose it. It's something realistic. He can see the value of it, and it will help him to think in a way very creative and make something for the community or for the business in Australia that he can add a value to it. And at the same time, it covers all the learning outcomes. What the student need to deliver, and this covers aspect one. He will deliver technical report, source code package, and 5-minute presentation per individual. Firstly, to cover the learning outcomes, we're reflecting on here the architecture and design of PHP and MySQL gonna cover learning outcome 2 and learning outcome 4. And he will take screenshots of the important code snippets, and this will cover learning outcome 1, 3, and 5. And the screenshots as well to the listing, adding, editing, deleting, booking is gonna cover learning outcome 5. And the test to show after it shows in the final page whether he opens this web page from the phone or from a computer or laptop. At the end, he has to show the screenshots of that, and definitely the code working with the application server. And the individual basis, he has to record 5 minutes talk, and he speaks about his personal contribution, and also he speaks about the challenges that he faced and how was the solution being reached to, what were the best practices that he used to solve his challenges. And this definitely covers from learning 1 to learning 5 all the learning outcomes. Here, the rubric, the design that will be shared with all the tutors across the campuses, how they gonna do the marking to verify that aspect 2 and aspect 5 feedback and marking high quality being maintained. This the rubric. We have the task that the group of students gonna make it, and then the criterion that he will be given the mark based on it, and the link to the learning outcome, and then how the percentage of the marks will be given, and whether it is group basis or individual basis. So first one covers the learning outcome 2. It takes only 10 points out of 50, which is 20%. And the second, this is the core of the implementation, covers 2 learning outcomes, and it takes 30%, 15 out of 50. And then the responsive UI and validate inputs. Here, it's very important because most of the students or anyone who is technical wise, he focus only how to build, but he doesn't have the mindset how to make sure that in all the cases and scenarios it's working fine and have no problem. And this is what we call the validation or the testing. Testing teams. Definitely, there are testing teams on the companies, but the student has to be ready to make it as less headache on them. And this covers learning 1 and learning 5. Like he need to make all the scenarios that it may lead the page to fail and then fix it, whether he opens from different resolution screens, small mobile phone, bigger one, or from iPad or any tablets, and then with the computer, to make sure that in all across all the devices it's working fine. And last is, and which one of the most, or most of the technical people, even we suffer from this in different stages. They are ready to write the code, they are ready to implement, but they are not ready yet to document and write the comments for the code. So if someone is on a company and a person coming after him, he doesn't know what was written. So this comes through the documentation and the report. So we're teaching them as well how to report and how to deliver everything documented, and then present it in 5 minutes demo to ask him whether what did he do. This speaks about the group and the individual. And looking at here, we have 50%, 25 out of 50 in the first and the second tasks. Speaks about the implementation and the technical wise. And the other 50% speaks about the presentation skills and how to present your work in the best form. And also how to explain the struggles that you're going across and what was the solutions to it. This rubric will be shared with all the tutors in different campuses to make sure that everything is being maintained in the high quality marking. Academic integrity, this covers aspect 3, that definitely the ChatGPT and the AI applications, they went viral and they widespread now. So we cannot, it's day by day, the people get used to it and they rely on it more and more. And we cannot stop the students from using that, but we have to enforce the way that they cannot use it more than 20%. And all the submissions will go across the Turnitin in or authenticate to make sure that the students didn't use more than 20%. And anything extra than this, if any misconduct or plagiarism being caught, or copying from another student, this is another case we have to maintain it. If any of this being caught, and the student will be under the policy of the university, whether it's been documented, and here the policy of the need to say what should be done for him. The feedback, to make sure that there is consistency and high quality marking. This rubric will be shared amongst all the campus, amongst all the tutors to use it, and we give the task and how many points for it. And in this way, we make sure that there is consistency amongst and across all of the campuses, and at the same time for the tutors. And because here the marking will be on the task of the tutors, so they will have less number, so they can focus and give the true mark for it. Otherwise, if it's based on the lecturer, it becomes so much to do. Like, let's say each class has a 20 or 25, and 5 campuses means 100. But if we give it to the tutors, it becomes more easy. And the group feedback will be given to them in group feedback, and the presentation feedback will be delivered back to the student in 2 weeks. And in this case, and we make sure that the student learn from his mistakes, and at the same time we give him the feedback to know, and the justification of if he lost 1 point or 2 points, the justification next to it, so he takes care in the future. Here we end up the presentation. Sorry for taking some time from you yourself, and have a good day. Thank you.